honourable member for Thornhill.
50,000 fans watched the Jays play live. No masks, no mandates. Over 20,000 with standing room only to see the Leafs in the playoffs. No masks, no mandates. And thank goodness this government's not in charge of sports. The secret public health advice that they are getting seems exclusively focused on punishing Canadians who want to fly and see their families or get back to work. So I'll ask again, which day will this government end the vindictive mandates?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very glad to answer this question. There's no secret, Mr. Speaker. No secret evidence. Everyone knows that vaccination saves lives. 163,000 lives would have been saved in the United States just with Omicron if they had had a higher vaccination rate. In Canada, Mr. Speaker, we have been vaccinated to a large number, to a large extent, and that's why we have been successful at having one of the lowest rates of death in the world with COVID-19.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, I'll invite the minister to table the secret public health advice that's different in this country than in any other country. The Jays and the Leafs are both busing to the Buffalo airport to be able to join the rest of the league without delays. That's because the ineffective redundancy at our own airports. Most Canadians don't have that luxury. Lineups and wait times at Pearson Airport will only worsen over the summer unless this government asks. So, Mr. Speaker, I will ask one more time, when will Canada join the rest of the world and drop the restrictions?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, let me start with the good news first. More Canadians are travelling today than the last 2 years. Good for tourism.
Order. Order. Let the minister answer his question. The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, the good news is that more Canadians want to travel, want to go on trips, want to visit families, and we're seeing large volumes at airports. Mr. Speaker, these delays, we're working on them. Yesterday, I met with the CEO of CATSA. We've struck a working group a few weeks ago to address these issues, to work quickly to address these surge in demand. Mr. Speaker, we're seeing surge across the entire economy. Our government is responsive. We're working proactively to address these issues as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next time I have to stand, I will skip to the next party's question. Okay? So this is the warning. This is the warning. The honourable member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Canada's mortality rate is not the best in class. Japan, Finland, Australia, and many other OECD countries have much lower death rates from COVID. Canada is one of the few remaining countries with domestic air travel restrictions in place. Canadians have endured the isolation of the pandemic and separation from loved ones. We live in a vast country where air travel is often the only way to visit loved ones. There are some 3 million Canadians who remain unvaccinated, who cannot board a flight to see loved ones. When will the government lift these domestic air travel restrictions?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me say what everyone knows is that vaccination is not punishment. Vaccination is protection. When we vaccinate ourselves, not only do we protect ourselves against a disease which can be very serious, but we also protect those around us that we like and we love, and therefore we protect them and their community. Vaccination, Mr. Speaker, just in the last few months, in England, the large rate of boosters that they have in Britain, that, Mr. Speaker, has avoided about 130,000 hospitalizations just during Omicron.
The honourable member for Charlesbourg. Mr. Speaker.
The Prime Minister has always said that science is the foundation of Canada's response to the pandemic. While countries around the world have already abandoned mandatory proof of vaccination, the Prime Minister continues to demand it of all Canadian airports. If we're talking science, how does he explain having 28,000 people in a stadium without proof of vaccination, but we can't travel through our own country? Can the Prime Minister share his science and explain why he insists on keeping these restrictions? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reason for which we can roll back some measures is because we have a higher rate of vaccination. Had we not had such a high level of vaccination at the end of 2021, and had we not had solid public health measures, certain estimates state that we would have had 400,000 deaths in Canada in the last 6 months of 2021, because we cannot choose to have public health measures being rolled back if we don't have the right rate of vaccination.